There are a lot of good novels out there, but every once in a while you'll run across a great one. A read so good that it pulls you in and makes you feel each and every word. Gives you an unrelenting thrill ride with characters so rich the lines between reality and fiction become blurred. Emotional highs and lows that come with attachments so deep you're only pulled into the story in a way that words on paper should not be able to do. Hi, I'm your host, Celeste Marcus, and today I'll be sitting down with horror novelist J.J. Phillips for a raw and uncensored look at her award winning novel, Parental Bloodshed. Together, we'll find out which is stronger, nature or nurture, and how events in J.J.'s life influenced and shaped parental bloodshed. Thank you so much for joining me today, JJ. It's always a pleasure seeing you.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Who or what sparked your interest in writing?
Well, I've always been an avid reader, so it's kind of one of those things where it'd be such a large list. I don't know that I really want to go into that. But I will say that there are several of my favorites maybe that might be more. I'm a Lovecraft fan. I really enjoy him, and sometimes he gives me a break from dancing with my demons so I can dance with him. So I guess I'd probably say maybe that was a major influence on me as far as that's concerned. He died really young, so his works are pretty limited. But I do really more enjoy horror type fiction.
Horror is awesome. Do you remember at what point in your life you decided you wanted to be a writer or a novelist?
I don't remember exactly what age it was, but more like I started writing a lot of poetry that was horrible. And then I basically turned it into little anthologies, little books of it. And I didn't like any of it. It was dumb. And it was little, I would probably want to say teeny bopper crap. But then I guess I was I wonder what it would be like to write actually something real. And that's kind of where that kind of sparked maybe. But I wrote a bunch of stuff that was real that really, really sucked. So it kind of just took a long time. It's really a long time. And like I said, I told you a long time ago that it took 4 rewrites. And most of my stuff takes many, many rewrites because it all sucks in the beginning.
Was there an influence in your youth that pushed you towards your goal?
Not in my youth, really. I think what really actually just made me think, oh, I can do this, was really when I read Stephen King's book on writing. He kind of gave me permission to be weird. He kind of gave me permission to be somewhat idiosyncratic, maybe. And also he gave me permission to write things the way that I felt, not what would be acceptable. Because he kind of let me not care what was acceptable. He said, forget all that. Forget everything you've ever learned about writing and just throw you on paper. And that kind of was in a lot of ways, not only is that inspirational, but it kind of cuts those reins and lets you go. And that's kind of how that works in a way. And I think he's very good at being inspiring in that manner.
Have you or had a high school teacher that was influenced by your book?
Well, she didn't influence my book. She influenced me more as far as kind of letting me know that, whatever you want to write down, you write down. Kind of like the same thing Stephen King did, only I was just much younger. And the funny thing was, I was in her class and her name was McPhail.
Seriously?
And she was the most amazing teacher ever. And she just let me kind of be me. And every creative piece I wrote, she either said, well, that was really bad, or she'd be like, oh my gosh, that was really good. And then when it was really good, she would give me really great pointers and things to work on. And I knew what she was doing because she was trying to shape me as a writer and allow me to feel comfortable, but know that these are she kind of gave me a little bit of idea of what we're looking at as far as parameters are concerned. And then, of course, then I read Stephen King and he told me to throw all that out the window. But, but it was just really nice. And she kind of was very encouraging as far as that's concerned.
As a sociological horror fiction author, what sparked your interest in the horror genre?
The horror genre has always been very, very interesting to me. I've always liked and sociologically speaking, I've always liked the idea of the nightmare next door, like the idea that you never really know somebody. You only know what they're willing to let you know, or they're willing to tell you, or they're willing to allow it to be seen in public. Because you never know what happens behind someone's closed doors, and you never know who they are behind them.
Do you have a favorite horror author?
H.P. Lovecraft. I really like him. Yeah. When I have that issue that I want to I don't know, take a break from my own writing and stop dancing with my demons for a while, I take a break and dance with his. And they're quite fun.
Nice. When you write, is there a tool you use to help get you into the process?
I write from a place of tragedy, personal tragedy, sadness, angst. So a lot of times my work can pretty much drag me like kicking and screaming into recesses of my mind that I might have forgotten for some time. And I'm kicking and screaming as I'm being drugged there, but I need that to basically vent, and it's part of my process, so to speak. And I don't know if I can say, that sounds funny, but it's like that's what I need. I revel in it to create what I do, because it's not a happy place. It's like I told a friend of mine, it's you go to that place that you're not willing to show others, because that is where the best works are made.
That's deep.
Oh, thank you.
Before we really get deep into Parental Bloodshed, the packaging is incredible, very unique. Can you tell us what this symbolizes?
Okay, that is actual butcher paper. Like, you can order it. It actually has the very slick underside of the paper, and it is what they wrap your meat in when you go to a butcher. And the tape is actually butcher's tape. So it's taped with butcher's tape in a piece of butcher's paper with a sticker that you would normally get, like if you go to a deli and they put like the price tag sticker on there. Well, that's not a price tag sticker. It's a sticker though, nonetheless, to show that it's sealed. It's a piece of meat. That's kind of what it's supposed to symbolize, or at least the idealism is concerned, from just like looking at it just vaguely at a perspective without knowing what it's about.
Right, I see that it says Prime Choice Meats and Deli. That's awesome. How would you describe Parental Bloodshed to someone that's unfamiliar with your work?
Well, there's like a light synopsis, which basically says it's about a family of female supremacist cannibals that move to a Midwestern city. Obviously, it gets much more in-depth than that, but that's pretty much the easiest synopsis I can give somebody, to really give them just a general, broad view of it. And then when they see that, they kind of maybe two and two together. But there's always much more to every story than, just the synopsis. But it's enough to maybe get your attention to kind of look at it, and maybe I might get you to read the first page or two, and if you like it, then it's on.
Parental Bloodshed has some dark and disturbing elements. Where did you find inspiration to create this story?
Basically, there were 3 versions of it beforehand, but they were shit. Literal crap, shit, not anything that I would ever let the public see. And then basically I endured a rape that I was having a hard time getting over. Like to the point where I had black trash bags taped on every mirror of my house, so I didn't have to look at myself. And then I kind of got to the point where I needed to kind of have a cathartic release of some kind. And the 4th version literally came out of I think it was 72 hours of basically no sleep, beverage buffet, and a lot of trips to the bathroom. And that's where that came from. But yeah, it came from me trying to let it go, because I couldn't get past it. I couldn't let it go. It was devouring me. It was all encompassing, and the feeling of it was all encompassing, and I didn't really know how to deal with it. And so basically, I kind of sat down and I thought, what can I do? I pulled out that file cabinet, I threw it literally all over the floor, and I said, fuck this. And then I just literally sat there, like I said, for that. It took quite some time. I rewrote it, I sat back, I cried, I took the trash bags off the mirrors, and I went to bed.
Wow. Is it uncomfortable for you putting so much of yourself on the page for others to read?
Oh yeah, I'm naked in front of a crowd. It's really absolutely terrifying, and uncomfortable. And I feel extremely exposed, even though this dress is very covering.
Well, you're very brave and I admire you for it.
I love you.
I love you. You're quoted saying that you write from a place of personal tragedy, hardship, and angst. How does this mindset affect your writing?
Well, like I said, sometimes it kind of, if I'm happy, like I am right now, I'm pretty happy, I have to actually stop myself when I'm writing to take myself back to some of those places. And sometimes I don't actually get control over where that goes. So my mind will drag me kicking and screaming into places that I did not want, I'd long since forgotten maybe even. And I will be there and I have, and I'm in that headspace. And that's where usually these things come from. But it's really, really great because I have a lot of people around me that support me and love me. And they're able to kind of like be like my candle that I can see at the end of that hallway that brings me back. So I never stay there for very long because it is quite it is quite emotionally exhausting.
In other interviews, you've talked about the characters in Parental Bloodshed, coming from parts of your own personality. How is your personality reflected in all these characters?
Well, it's basically like I explained it at one time, and I tried to find a better way to explain it. So, basically, all the characters are literally facets of my personality. They are broken apart to be different, and then they are expounded upon to create what I would believe would be an actual human being, or the idea of an actual human being. And each one of them is me. They're just different parts of me. And so, like, I have one character that's one part of me that feels this way. I have one character that's part of me that feels this way. And I have another, it goes on. And so all the main characters are me, but they're different sides.
How does the characters apply to you, such as Mary?
Mary is the part of my personality that is angry as fuck. She's furious. I'm surprised she hasn't died of a rage aneurysm. She really, really, really is not a happy person. And she is evil. She's angry. But I think her personality and the way it is was made and not born. So she has become the person that she is through circumstance in life. But yes, she's an incredibly hateful, angry person, soul thing, if I want to call it. She's a character in my book, so I don't know how to call her anything other than, like, that's the side of me that's had enough. And I'm angry about it. It's not that I was ever mad or anything like that. I just became knowledgeable, understood the way things were going, didn't like them, and I was fucking furious. So I became basically that. And when you become that, you try to find a way to make it to where it's understood what she is, because she is pure, unadulterated anger and hatred.
How about Heather?
Heather is the follower, the part of me that really doesn't want to always be in charge of everything. The part of me that is always in charge of everything, that doesn't want to be for everybody all the time. Heather also is the voice of reason. She makes the most sense, always has, and it's one ear and out the other, usually with Mary. Because Mary doesn't want to hear what Heather has to say. Mary just wants what Mary wants. She keeps Heather around, probably to make her feel better in a lot of ways.
Sarah?
Sarah is innocent, sweet, has no idea what the hell she's in for, and she doesn't understand her own family.
Victoria?
Victoria is raw promiscuity with the absence of sex.
Daryl?
Daryl is the part of me that wants to speak out against all the atrocities and things that happen to women all over the globe, and how the oppression and everything affects every single woman, girl, and being on this planet.
Nate?
Nate is more of like a moral support idea. He never really left the war, and he was very much so Arthur's real only friend, but he wasn't really a friend. So it was kind of one of those things where he was more like a hang out with Arthur out of necessity. He didn't really feel loved or needed by him. He felt responsible.
And then last but not least, Arthur.
Arthur is the part of me that everybody thinks is crazy, but I'm always right.
If you had to pick one character you would identify with most, who would it be and why?
That's a really good question because they're all me. So I don't know exactly how I would answer that. I would probably say a lot of things about the fact that I spent most of my life feeling like I wasn't listened to, like nobody heard me. They would smile and they would nod at me. They might like tell me I'm pretty, and that's about it. And then there was no other anything, you know. So I would probably say a lot of times, or I'd probably say I probably most identify with. I kind of want to say Heather, but it's kind of weird to me because I'm not really Heather because I'm a little bit more outspoken. So it's kind of more difficult for me because that's the side of me that would be standing in a room filled with people screaming at the top of my lungs and nobody hears me. That's her. But at the same time, my personality is kind of a little bit more dynamic too. So it would be really difficult. I'd really be that kind of perfect match between maybe Heather and Mary in a lot of ways on a personal level.
Did that affect the way you wrote the characters?
In a lot of ways, yes. Yes, because I needed an outlet, like I said, a cathartic release for the outlet. And I had to create these characters based off of these feelings that I had also. So each character not only was a facet of my personality, and not only were they created to be all the way down to what they wore, what they looked like, and everything, they had to have this particular thing about them. And each one of them needed to have, different ones. So it was like, yeah, I would probably say that's probably how that would come about, would be to just basically add those things to that character individually.
Your writing style has been described as cinematic. Was that intentional or happy accident?
Completely flippin' accident. I had no idea that was going to be the way it was going to turn out. It was just the way it was in my head. And there were a couple pieces I had to go back and change a little bit here and there, but otherwise than that, that's how it went in my head. And it was fast and it was done and it was like that. And like I said, it took 72 hours. So it was like my whole brain just threw away the other crap and I just started spewing it out. And so whenever I did, it was kind of almost, I can kind of understand where it probably would be because it just kind of just happened that way. It just all fell together. The things from the previous works kind of made sense when I kind of extrapolated what I needed from them and then just basically just put everything together. And I didn't even need to look at them because I had already written them, so I knew what they were. I just kind of used what I needed from those just to add what I needed. But by the time I was done, I really did not plan on it reading like a movie, but I had been told several times that it does. And then I went back and read it myself and I was like, I'll be damned.
Out of curiosity, do you have any plans to maybe do a movie about this book?
Oh, that would be awesome. I would really like that. I
would
told
really like
you, that. And you've been told, and it reads like a movie, so it should be a movie, right? I would love that. I have mentioned it to a couple people that I know. I'm not going to promise anything, obviously, to the general public, but I would really like to and am aiming toward the possibility of making a movie because I really do think that it would be an amazing cinematography adventure.
Everybody help her make a movie about this.
Adventure. I don't even know what to say about it. Like, it could be really cool. And then, most people might not like it, but who cares? I don't know. I don't know if anybody will like it. I don't know if anybody won't. All I know is it would make a cool movie.
Absolutely. What, if anything, would you change about the book to put it on the big screen?
I'd have to make it not a rated X. I think I actually wrote a rated X book. I don't even know exactly how that's even possible, being the rating system, but I think I did. And so I don't know exactly what would be needed to take out to make it not a rated X, and that terrifies me. So obviously I would need to be part of the group that would be deciding to do that if there were a movie involved. Because I don't want to leave out anything, but some of those parts are not necessarily R-rated. If you get my drift.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
So the idea is obviously it would probably end up having to be like a director's uncensored cut, and then they'd have to chop the ever living shit out of it to make it actually visible and be an R. 'Cause I get really, really graphic and mean and kind of anyway.
Parental Bloodshed builds an imagery with some pretty amazing locations. What inspired them, and do you have a favorite?
Okay, there are lots of locations, and there are a lot of times they're expired. No, they're inspired by places I've lived, places I've been, travel-wise, etc. And so, like, one of my favorites, of course, is the library. And you have library cards, and they're quite lovely. And that is actually inspired by about 3 different strip clubs and the library at Oxford University, London. It's a really cool library. If you've ever been there, it's a beautiful library. The woodwork's amazing.
I always wanted to go to the UK.
Yeah. So yeah, and then of course some really cool strip clubs, some in Vegas and some in Dallas and some other places.
The vehicles you chose are almost like characters of their own. Can we talk about the cars? Oh, there was a...
Yeah. Okay, so Lynx is like my dream car. Lynx is Lynx is a Chevelle, and those are so beautiful. And it's a 1969 Chevelle 2492 SS. Anyway, so, and it's an SS. Anyway, it's beautiful, and I love it. And it's black with this little anyway, and she purrs like a goddamn kitten. And so yeah, she's her own character, and she's very predatorial, and I actually really enjoy giving her that idea. Like her tires are her paws kind of thing, And she purrs
Vroom,
when she
vroom,
gets what she
kitty.
wants.
Vroom, vroom, kitty.
Yeah. And then there's a Vixen, which is just basically a Jeep Wrangler that's been altered and souped up, and it's pretty cool. Now that one doesn't have as much of a personality, comparatively speaking, because Lynx is really the one with the personality, and I'd probably be about it because obviously I'm obviously showing a lot of favoritism because I really want one of those. I mean, that's like my dream car,
Yeah.
dream car. Like, I'm going to get one someday. I might be 92, but I'm getting one. I won't be able to drive it. It'll sit in the driveway. I don't care.
The story has several characters that seem to play off each other. Mary, Heather, N8, Arthur, Sarah, Victoria.
Right.
Can you talk about these characters and why they are grouped together?
Well, they're grouped together because they seem to fit together, because they would be friends, or they would be knowledgeable of each other. Like, for instance, Mary and Heather they live together, and Mary is basically the alpha, and Heather is the beta, and they kind of have this dynamic between them. And as far as Sarah and Victoria, they are sisters. And so basically there would be that slight camaraderie because they've been around each other their whole lives. Nate and Arthur are friends from the war. Nate has a war montaged type saloon. And so they basically, I'm going to say it like this, parts of them never left Nam kind of idea.
Do you have a favorite scene or sequence?
Honestly, I'm very much about the car scenes. I don't want to give away too much. I'm trying not to, but I love the cars. I especially love Lynx a lot. So yeah, anything with Lynx in it, I'm going to say yeah.
Oh yeah.
And a deep voice too. Yeah.
What inspired your chapter titles?
Usually the chapter titles are extremely telling. And it was kind of weird because when I thought about it later on, they actually did kind of shape the chapter in a way subconsciously, because I had no idea that they did that. It was like when I went back and read it and I told you, I was like, whoa, that's weird. I didn't realize I did that. I didn't realize it read like a movie. I didn't realize the chapter title made the chapter. How did I do that? Interesting. Kind of cool. Okay, we'll just go with that.
Parental Bloodshed is packed with pop culture references. Was there a reason behind including so many? And do you have a favorite one?
There were a lot of pop culture, as you mean in like music and stuff, or I had a lot of musical inspiration. A lot of times I just like to sit there and just listen to different musicians, and they'll put me in different moods a lot of times. Sometimes when I'm getting ready to write, I'll have like a playlist of music that I listen to. I happen to love Rob Zombie. I do. I just love him. And so I'll listen to a little bit of him, and then there's the Rolling Stones and some other stuff that is very iconic for this particular type of time frame that I've placed this in. And it makes total sense for the way that it's written.
How does the music add to the narrative?
Oh, because it exactly tells you what period of time you're in. Like literally, because some of these things didn't come out until much, some of the things didn't come out. When they came out this time. Whereas there were a couple things I had to research and find out that they didn't come out till like years later, so I couldn't use those things. Even though they inspired me and I enjoyed them, I couldn't use them. But, as far as it's concerned, this particular song and this particular song that I find inspiring and motivational was there. So I can totally do that. And I basically picked out of what was not only popular, but what was enjoyable for me as far as inspiring, like I love to listen to as well, and kind of got me in that like I want to write kind of mood.
How long did the writing process take for Parental Bloodshed?
8 years.
Wow.
Yeah. I am not formulaic at all. I wish I were, because god dang, I would have a book out every 6 months. No, I am absolutely the opposite of formulaic, and I really, really sometimes hate that, because it took me 4 rewrites and 8 years. And yeah, that's a lot of time. And I'm on my now going to be 3rd rewrite of things I've been trying to decide what direction I really want to go with it. I haven't decided. I've started what I think might be a sequel, but I don't know if I'm going to go that direction. I might go another direction. Who knows? Because usually those things aren't made up until I'm done with it, and then I decide I don't want it anymore, or something like that.
What kind of readers' feedback have you received?
Well, I've received pretty much everything from the spectrum of the scale of, oh my gosh, I loved it. I'm going to write you a 2.5-page letter about how amazing it was, and kind of compare different works of other people to it in a combination type standpoint. And then I've had people tell me they were queasy and got sick after reading some of the scenes in the book. It's a book. I've never heard of anybody ever getting queasy, let alone throwing up twice. That's just absolutely unheard of to me. But I was told that it happened. I've scared the bejesus out of a lot of my friends. I do have men that no longer talk to me anymore that were my friends. And yeah, so that's been really interesting. I have like one picture with this one friend. I never saw him again. He doesn't even want to talk to me. Yeah, because he read it and he's terrified of me. So, and I'm like, I'm really not that mean. It's a book. It's called art. But sometimes, people have a hard time escaping art from reality. Other things were like, I needed to find a better editor, which I totally agree with. And then the person in the middle of the interview got scared for a minute. And then they were like, and then they turned around and gave me like this great review. And I kind of joked around, because I doubt it's true. But quite honestly, when you read it, it's extremely knowledgeable and in depth of physiology and anatomy. So it can be very, very visually understood, especially with the definitions. I mean, the words, and sometimes I even define them, and the descriptions of what is going on and how it's going on and who's taking what and what degree. And sometimes I found that words can scare people. I didn't think they could. I thought movies scared people, not a book. And yeah, so I've terrified a few of my friends. Some of them don't talk to me anymore. And one tells me that he can't put it into his Bristol book club because they'll puke. And it's not literature that would be good for that book club.
Wow.
Yeah. Which, gosh, I kind of joke around, but I wonder if I could make it a rated R book. I don't know how to do that though.
Just put big R on it,
R plus.
There you go. You decided to self-publish as opposed to going through a traditional publishing house. I would love to know why that direction and what did you find the greatest benefit to be?
Well, I went that direction because I want money.
Money's good. We all like
You know,
money.
I mean, I'm an unknown. I'm dealing with, the fact that I'm an unknown. It's really hard to sell something to someone that they've never heard of by someone they've never heard of. So most of these houses take a substantial amount. I know if I tried to sell on Amazon, I believe it's 50%. And if I tried to go through a big pub house, I'd get $2 per book up to, I think it's like 70 cents to $2 a book
Wow.
in sales. So I'm like, how much? And so basically I called around, tried to find it because I was very specific about what I wanted. And what I wanted, a traditional publishing house wasn't going to give me, because I talked to a few of them and they were not willing to do the butcher paper thing with the sticker. That's a lot of maintenance. That's not just printing a book. That's not just printing a book in a dust jacket and throwing it together and it going on an assembly line. It's not that. This has to actually be hand packaged, taped and stickered, and then stick the ISBN on the back, and they're not going to do all that, which I totally get. I had my dreams. I had my way I wanted them to be, and I decided I wasn't going to compromise. So basically, I had to find someone that would do what I wanted them to do. And that's basically what came about, because I knew I was going to have to do something like that, because that was the only way I was going to get what I want, and I wasn't going to look at $2 a book, because that would make no sense to me. That's a lot of hard work for nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the self-publishing process like?
It was a nightmare at first. And the reason why is because, one, it's really hard to get editors. And the reason why is because most editors are ridiculously expensive. You can get one sometimes for like $1 to $2 a page, $2 to $3 a page, depending on what you're dealing with. But this is a 364-page book. So now you're talking about more money, right? And then, like I said, finding the editors is really difficult. Finding a printing press that will do this was astronomically hard. Because what I found out later on, which is a very interesting little tidbit, that stamping, the way the stamping is and the color of the stamping and the consistency of the stamping was not created yet. They created it and made it and stamped it. And so you can't get that anywhere else. So it was a really cool thing.
Very
so
unique.
Now, and they kept whole bunches of sheets of it. So like, obviously if I'm like a major success or something, that, they'll have plenty of them for me. But yeah, the printer that I went with was very much so absolutely willing to completely facilitate to anything, all my needs and anything that I needed from them. And they went above and beyond in a lot of ways because, as he said, it's been a long time since I've gotten to see an actual book and do an actual book. This is the biggest joy for me. I have had so much fun and this is great. And I got to do new things, which doesn't happen when you've been in business as long as I have. So it was kind of cool to hear that from him, and I was really happy to give him that kind of joy. I was really happy to get things the way I wanted them because I wasn't going to settle for anything less than what I wanted. So because I'm kind of that way. Yeah. I want what I want,
You know what you want.
Yeah, exactly. And if you don't give me what I want, I'm not doing business with you. So.
Has going through the self-publishing process changed your mind for how you publish future projects?
Absolutely. I love the control. I love having control over my career. I love having control over this. I love having the copyright of this. I love being able to, if I want to change a word in it and I want to submit that to the Library of Congress to make sure that the change is taken, and I want to do this or that or whatever with it, maybe I want to change an editing thing I did, I can do that. But without me, with basically not being able to have any control over that, that would drive me crazy. So, because I'm kind of a control freak. So yeah, not being that's probably the biggest aspect, as well as obviously the other things that I had mentioned is a gigantic bearing factor, because it's my work, it's my brain, it's my thoughts, it's the one place. That book is the one place on the planet where I am God. I want control over it because I should have control over it because it's my world I created.
Without spoiling, the story ends with the possibility of a sequel. Do you have any plans on writing a sequel, or has the story run its course?
That is a really good question, because I'm not even there yet myself. Okay, so I've tried to write a sequel like twice now. I burned them. I go to the Metro Park, and I'm all melodramatic because you know me, right? So I go to the Metro Park and I douse it down with like lighter fluid, and I light it on fire and I film it. It's beautiful, lovely. Everybody loves it. Great, yay. 700 pages later, and so I still am trying to figure out what I'm going to do there, and I'm trying really hard. So basically, I'm looking at my third draft now. If I really want to do that, I might end up taking it a different direction, because I have been trying to write a sequel, but I'm not exactly sure if I'm going to do that now. I have had a couple ideas about something maybe different. I don't know yet. I have other couple little side projects that are never going to see the light of day, and because they suck really bad. And so I'm just kind of like, I don't know. The first sequel that I wrote to it was absolutely ridiculous. It was like 694 pages. I'm not that talented to write War and Peace and actually keep people interested. So yeah, I knew that wasn't going to work. So I needed to like burn that like yesterday. So
She's lying. She's very talented.
It was horrible. And so I just like lit that thing on fire. It's done. And so now I'm more, and then I wrote the second one. Second one was not good at all. It lacked everything that I am very, very particular about. So I took like I got through like the first paragraph of my own writing where I was like, oh, trash. And it'll make animal bedding or something. So now I'm trying on the third. I'm going to figure out what I'm going to do there. And I may end up changing direction altogether, because I'm kind of unpredictable like that. So I guess it doesn't really answer your question, but it kind of does in a weird little circle way.
Yeah. Where can people purchase a copy of Parental Bloodshed?
Well, the really cool thing is social media has done some really nice things. You can buy it off my fan page it's JJ Phillips, and the Phillips is with one L. Please do not forget it's with one L. One, not two, one. It's no apostrophe, JJ Phillips, and that's the Facebook page, and you can actually buy the book on the Facebook page. You can also buy it on my website at jjphillips.com with one L. And then you can also, you can contact me if you want through my Twitter. It's Nightmares Inc. And then the Instagram is like jjphillips123. I'm not exactly sure. And then I also have an IMDb page you can message me through too as well. And that's j.j.phillips. And make sure it's one L, because there's an actor that has two. That he's really nice looking and he's a very nice young man, but he's not me. And so as far as that's concerned, there's also, if you're local to Dayton, it's available at Clash Dayton, which is a store owned by one of my really dear friends for many years, Mary Catherine Burnside. So if you get a chance to stop by there, that's always great too, and take a look at everything there, because I call that Victoria's Closet.
Ooh.
Yeah, because she would have a heyday. If she was given an exponential, non-existent, total amount of money to spend, she would buy that whole place.
Jeez.
It's awesome. I have to take you there sometime.
Definitely. I would
it's
love
really
to go.
great. Oh my gosh, she has a great shop. I love her to death. And it's a really, really fun place to go.
Girls'
Even if you
Day.
just want to look around. Yeah. And there's an art gallery on the side too.
I
Yeah,
love art.
a lot of fun.
Do you have any plans to put Parental Bloodshed on a digital format for e-readers?
I am going to do that kicking and screaming, because I don't want to. And this is going to sound funny, but books are starting to become like almost extinct, kind of like back in the old days when they were kind of like a sign of luxury in a way, or wealth or whatever. I've just noticed that they're very few and far between now. And so, yes, eventually I will have to do that. I will be dragged like kicking and screaming, probably by my hair, because it's long enough to do that with. But I will not want to do it, but I will probably eventually do that. But for right now, I mean, these are the places that you can order it. You can contact me directly, obviously. And then I can, I let you know what to do there. And then also the website is a great resource. But yeah, no, there's no actual, I'm not looking forward to any type of digital media in regard to that, but I will probably end up having to do that in the future, whether I want to or not.
You have some very devoted readers and fans. Is there anything you would like to say to them before we conclude what has been an amazing interview?
Tell all your friends, buy my book, and have a great day, and cheers.
There you have it. Cheers. JJ, I can't thank you enough for having the time to sit down and talk to me today about your awesome book.
Oh, no, I thank you. It was great to talk to you too. I've missed you.
I've missed you. Parental Bloodshed is available now, a phenomenal novel and an incredible backstory and one truly amazing woman. For JJ Phillips and myself, thank you. And perhaps we shall see you again.
Blackbirds fill the sky, casting shadows of redemption.